Yo, what's happening, baby? This is the Flaming Sword Musing, and I'm seeing Khan. So, apparently, how you doing, man? Chilling, chilling. Apparently, according to Umar Johnson, Dr. Umar Johnson, um, the reason why black women don't listen to black men is black men's fault. I mean, like, this is devastating to me, considering that it came from Dr. Umar Johnson. Like, this is devastating. Like, Dr. Umar Johnson decided that the reason why black women don't listen to black men is because black men haven't been raising black boys to be leaders or some stuff like that. You know, Famo got a lot of theses and shit. And it just seems like weirdly, I would like to regretfully admit that a lot of times when, brothers talk on the plight of other brothers and like race relations and all of that stuff, they tend to take a conservative point of view. You know what I mean? And it's a natural thing for men. Because when you talk about something like gender relations, man-woman relations, all of that, both races tend to sink themselves into that survival instinct aspect, and both genders tend to address the gender relationship thing from a survival perspective or I have to win perspective or whatnot. And, in my point of view, that's where things get kind of weird because Dr. Umar Johnson, he really always tends to take positions that are actually contrary to, the black experience or the African American experience or the Negro experience or, this experience that we're going through that's particular to us. And he will usually take a conservative point of view while promoting it under the terms of nationalism. And it's also kind of what like them dudes from Fresh and Fit Miami did too. Like, when you talk about certain things, it doesn't matter what position you take. You're going to end up on the same side. So you get these guys who sometimes, like, I would like to say, like, in the sense of Dr. Umar Johnson, he might want to refute white supremacy, but he is addressing white supremacy from the premise of white supremacy. So he is actually confirming white supremacy, whatever he says. Like, if you want to put it a certain way, a lot of these isms that are going on, especially the red pill conversation, And I've been addressing the red pill conversation a lot because I kind of feel like the red pill conversation is based on white supremacy. And if you look up this red pill conversation in Google and all of that, you know, you will start to understand that the black slash African American slash Negro contributions to the red pill conversation is actually kind of recent, and it's not even based off of an ideology that is consistent with us, you know. And when I say us, I mean like dudes who are grounded and regular cats like me, myself personally. I don't have to be an alpha male. Me regular as myself is sufficient to serve the purpose that Allah created me for. So I don't have to be nothing super. You know? We don't have to be Superman or alpha men, and we start categorizing manhood in certain ways because ultimately in this particular society, black men, African American men, Negro men, whatever you want to call it, we do not have neither the options or opportunities to consistently represent manhood. Like, it's not about whether or not black men, African men, so on and so forth, men are equipped to be men. But the question is, what are the options and the opportunities? Like, a lot of times, you know, when you deal with oppressed people, a lot of times you can go through the Bible, you can go through any little literature, you will recognize that it was the young men who were targeted. And, you know, the young men being targeted, a lot of times they were targeted for doing things that men just do. And, you know, to put things in context for nowadays, that our brother, Dr. Umar Johnson, should understand. I'm quite sure that he does understand because he is a doctor after all. So, yeah. What he needs to understand is that it's not about qualifications or how men are built, whether they're alpha men or sigma men or anything like that. What people need to understand is that the role that black men are expected to play in society is in fact detrimental to progress of the black men. You know, like to say, like, it's not cool for a black slash African, I mean, like, us. It's not cool for us to assert the manhood and dominance that is pretty much the prerogative of men in most other cultures. For some odd reason, it's weird for men of us. It's weird for us to assert and draw boundaries. It's weird for us to have expectations. Like, I'm gonna talk later on about the Keke Palmer situation maybe tomorrow or something, but that's a total different discussion that I get to. But it just seems like, okay, cool. If you're a guy that stands on your principles and maintains your boundaries, you're controlling, you're this, you're that. If you make more money than your woman, you're controlling. But if you don't make more money than your woman, you're a dusty. That's a crazy phrase. Just like 304, like this shit new to me. I'm 46 years old. I was born 1977, the year of the snake. I don't know nothing about the phrase dusty. I don't know nothing about the phrase 304, all these little new phrases popping up. I have to assimilate them because they just happening so fast. But when it comes to certain things, especially with the expression of manhood in American society, the black man, African man, American man, us, it just seems like we have less of a prerogative to assert the manliness. So every time we assert ourselves, we pretty much have to violate something just to level the ground. It's like, yeah, you pretty much have to violate something, whether you're dealing with your lady or whether you're dealing with society as a whole, or your outlook on life is just so different from everything that's around you that you have to violate something just to level the ground. And that's really the issue with what the brother Dr. Umar Johnson was talking about, and I think that he's quite aware of that. I know that he's quite aware of the fact that the only premise that men have nowadays to assert their manly prerogative is through certain avenues. Like, we don't have the same avenues as other people that are perceived to be better earners than us. They like to say, oh, the reason this guy's getting treated like this is because he's paying all the bills. But keeping it 100, I'm from Milwaukee. You know what I'm saying? And most of the cats from Milwaukee, man, we got like a real thorough macking element to our conversations and to how we deal with females, and we understand the concept of tricking and pimping, even if we not pimps. Motherfuckers understand the concept of tricking and pimping. And for a motherfucker to be like, oh yeah, whoopty whoopty whoopty, a nigga gotta pay all the bills and all of that shit, and if he not paying bills, he ain't whoopty whoopty. From a man's perspective, man, from my perspective, ain't nobody paying bills but Allah. You know what I'm saying? Or the divine will. Like, I'm gonna take the courses I'm gonna take, and I'm gonna grind as hard as I can based off of the premises I'm presented with. So if the only premise through which I can assert my manhood is through this or that, then, that's just how it's gonna happen. Because motherfuckers can't shut down, As long as a real thorough dude moving, he's gonna try to find a way to express his manliness, his thoroughness, his, initiative, so I don't believe that, the brother Dr. Umar Johnson was particularly wrong, but we all have to give some type of acknowledgement to the fact that us as black men, African men, whatever, we are actually expected to play a certain role. And that role is neither beneficial to us nor the women that we deal with. So he says that men aren't raising little boys to be men. And I don't know what he's talking about. Like, the struggle is real. Like, most men that I've ever grew up around, and the dude that I try to be like, we know that we are like Malcolm X said, we're trying to climb a feather mountain. You know what I'm saying? But we just keep climbing. We keep it pumping. We keep the legs moving like in football. We just keep it pumping because, each one teach one. And usually, if you're dealing with an individual who just doesn't have manly etiquette about himself, it speaks for itself. It pretty much means that he wasn't raised around men. He was raised around women. And women who deal with men who are raised around women, they already know how to deal with them. They already know. They're going to raise their little boys to be that way. And certain things are going to happen. It's like law. I don't want to predict negativity upon anyone, but it's like law. Like 1 + 1 = 2. 2 + 2 = 4. 2 times 2 = 4. There are so many ways to get to 4 that it would be weird to think that, like, oh, yo, this ain't gonna happen. So I am still working on this. Hopefully you guys get something from this and can help me out with it as well. You know what I'm saying? Because all of this is relative. All of this is, amusing from your boy Musing Khan. Be blessings and be blessed. 1.